Hi, YouTube fans. This is Matt of more post-April 6th secondary YouTube channel, an extension of post-April 6th. Well, I just left the post office and I talked with a postal clerk, and they are aware of the fact that I can send, or that mail will be received that has more post-April 6th YouTube channel in the name, and it won't be rejected. Yes, that's true. The post office box number is in full, is this one. Here, let me do it that way. Okay. Well, for those of you who have not been to my post-April 6th channel that was originally formed back in April of 2023, April 28th, 2023 to be exact. The channel has 144 subscribers, and there is 390 videos. Yes, I repeat, 390 videos. And, well, let me get back to the formation of more post-April 6th. I got to watch where I'm walking because it can get a little slick in this part of the Denver metro area, because it gets a little colder because of the lake effect. Lake meaning Cherry Creek Reservoir. Yeah, it can put a colder mist through the air. Okay, anyway. The purpose of more post-April 6th channel is for movie trailers. And I have a interest in doing two different things to help popularize the channel itself. The first thing, and this one is more likely, is to create a Spreadshirt account and do some Spreadshirt attire. T-shirts, short sleeve T-shirts, long sleeve T-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, and some other forms of clothing, attire, garments. You know what I mean. Hold on a second, I gotta stop. Kick off your shoes and sit right down. That was from my Rod Stewart song. Okay, I'm back now, and I've got some time to talk. As I was saying before, I'll say the first part of it again, and I'll go on to the second half of what part of my key concept will be to make the channel popular. One, I'm interested and more likely to get involved in Spreadshirt, and like I've already said, it would be T-shirts. There would be short sleeve and long sleeve, sweaters, hoodies, and other attire for both men and women. And the other thing that I'm also seriously thinking about is TeePublic. Yes, TeePublic. TeePublic.com. And I have to look into both before I get committed to one. Because I'm not just going to get committed to both and think that things are going to go like this. Because it may not work out that way. I mean, it's true. It may not. And what I have already uploaded, unless no one has viewed my channel at all, is 3 different movie trailers from the year 1983. One is Wavelength. It's a sci-fi. The other one is Spring Break, and that one's a heavy R. It's almost like NC-17. It's so R-rated. It's not X-rated, but it's R-rated for sure. It's a heavy R. Because there's so much sexual-oriented content, or sexually suggestive. And the other one is with Matthew Broderick. That's War Games. I've seen that movie from start to finish, and he really plays a highly intelligent, highly skilled computer nerd who's highly tech savvy, who does some things with the national security system that is a great big no-no. And when he foils the situation that almost happened, he doesn't get in trouble because he stopped it computer-wise through I would assume NORAD or some other type of military U.S. Department of Defense military action thing he did to counteraction with the consent of the U.S. military complex. And there is one more movie of 1983 that I'm going to put up. I'm referring to movie trailer, not movie start to finish, because that's a no-no. I think it is called Max Dugan Returns, and I believe Jason Robards is in that movie. And there is another one. If it wasn't Rob Lowe, it was a guy that kind of looked like Rob Lowe, and it had something to do with being in having a female tutor for summer school. And basically, there's going to be more than just 3 or 4 movies of the year 1983 that I'm going to put up there. I'm going to probably put up at least a dozen. Now, the exact number of how many I'm going to put up, I can't commit to that yet, because I have to really thoroughly research the movies that were released in 1983, and some of them, whether I can upload a movie trailer or not, I'm not going to put it up, because it may be the type of movie that I think was pretty stupid or pretty wicked. Or if it's not wicked, it's the way that the female character, I mean, in real life she wouldn't be treated like this by the male actors, but she was really heavily physically and mentally, or at least heavily mentally abused by the people she was dealing with. Okay, so let me get away from movie trailers and talk more about something else. I'm 51 years old, and I am someone who was born on July 13th of 1973. I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital. Okay, I know my head is like this, but the backside is like, because see, I had to change and put my smartphone back on the charger, because I expect a phone call from a good friend of mine here pretty soon. Okay, so I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital, and my mother had to deliver me C-section because I was so large. And my mother was 2 weeks away from turning 33 years of age. And my father, I can't say his full name because if I do, he's going to be very upset with me. My father was 28 years old, and he was 2 months away from turning 29. And he wasn't just any old guy. He had 8 years previous experience as a diesel mechanic. And six to 7 months prior to my birth, he opened a diesel repair business. Him and 2 other men named Bob and Billy. And my dad was making very good money as a diesel mechanic. His salary for the year 1973 was probably at least $25,000, if not $26,000. Believe me, in 1973, $26,000 back then was the equivalency now, 2025, of over $130,000 a year. I'm not joking. It's true. And here was the other thing that was going on that happened about 3.5 years before I was born. Or, let's see, actually it was somewhere between 2 years and 10 months and 3 years and 2 months, to be exact. My parents they didn't adopt. They didn't adopt because they're biologically related. My mother was biologically related to the 3 kids. She was their aunt. My mother got legal custody of 3 children. 2 boys and 1 girl. The girl was the oldest. Her name was Michelle. The second oldest, I really can't say his names, but let's call him CF. That's all I'm going to say. He was born in December of 1959, so he'd be about 65, 66 now. And my brother, we'll call him JS. JS was born April 7th, 1961. He's the only one of the 3 that I still keep in contact with. And we lived on a house near Bellevue and Federal on a street called Anita Drive, actually West Anita Drive, in Englewood, Colorado. It's an area of Englewood where it is 1 mile away from the Englewood-Littleton city limits geographical jurisdictions. Because when you go down South Federal Boulevard just a little bit more, and you go up this way on West Bellevue, you're in Littleton. You're not in Englewood. And when I was 4 years old, my father wanted a bigger house. He wanted to live out in more of a country, rural area in Castle Rock. He bought a good, nice house in Surrey Ridge on Surrey Road. And it was a very, very nice house. It was $80,000. If he wanted to buy that house again, It's going to be a minimum of $800,000, and I'm not joking, because anything in the Surrey Ridge subdivision of Castle Rock is going to be mucho bucks. You'll be lucky to find a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath house for $650,000. But the likelihood you're going to find it at $650,000, not very high. And then in 1985, even though my dad fought tooth and nail to prevent this, a diesel repair business that he owned had to be shut down. He shut down the business. This was in about April 14th or April 15th of 1985. And then what he did was he actually, this was 2 months prior to him shutting the business down. I almost skipped a step. In late January, early February of 1985, it was a Saturday when we did this, my mother, with the help of several people, moved from Surrey Ridge to Acres Green. Acres Green, back then it was Littleton, but because of all the how the city limits changed and new names were invented, what was Littleton is now Lone Tree. Yeah, Acres Green is still a very good subdivision. I've never gotten into it, but I've, because I don't have a car. It would be me using either an Uber ride and then wandering around that area near County Line and Quebec. Yeah, County Line, Quebec. I remember wandering around that area for a couple of hours until I'd had enough, and then I took an Uber ride back to my apartment. You know, the one I live at right now. Acres Green, I could, you know, when I was fairly close to it, and I looked over this way, instead, in an southeastern direction, Acres Green still looks very attractive. And there's a car dealership on, I think it's called Acres Green Drive, which leads into Acres Green's subdivision. There's a car dealership just before the subdivision starts. And I think there's also, because there's a bridge that goes over there, there's an extension to C470 state highway. It might be a U.S. highway, but I'm pretty sure it's a state highway because it's called C470 instead of U.S. I-25, blah, blah, blah. And we lived there for about, let me think about this. We lived there for about 31 months, just a little bit shy of 3 years. And what happened was my mother filed divorce against my dad. She felt he was getting too self-righteous, and they just grew apart. That's all I'm willing to say. And me and my mother moved to an apartment complex. Back then, it was on South Glencoe Street or Way, the 6700 block. Back then it was called Arapahoe Village Apartments. Now it is Villas at Holly. And her and I moved into a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. And I went to Arapahoe High School. No, wait a minute, that's not true. for 1 year, for the 1987-1988 school year, I went to Newton Middle School. It's part of Littleton Public Schools. And then in 1988 and 1989, I went to Arapahoe High School. A little more than a week and a half after I began school at Arapahoe High School, my mother, this was on a Saturday night, she went dancing with a new boyfriend, doing the jitterbug dance, and her hand slipped and she fell down on her butt so hard she broke her back. She fractured her back. She was hospitalized for 2 weeks, and I went to stay with a friend of hers that lived in an area that would be near Surrey Ridge called Oak Hills, and they had a very, very nice house that's probably worth, well, it's been torn down, but if it were still there, probably worth over $1.8 million. I mean, they paid at least $400,000. They spent, because the man had the money. He was well-to-do financially. They spent $400,000 on this house. I kid you not. He was with a company called, back then it was Wazee Electric. And to say the man's full name, I better not, because if he finds out about this video, he could really raise a lot of hell with me. And I don't want to offend him and have that happen. And the other thing that happened was a few days after Halloween. This was a Saturday morning. You hear a knock on the door, and I knew who it was. It was my father, because I was expecting him. I opened up the door, and my dad's nice full beard that he had for at least 15 years was gone. He was totally clean shaved. And I was just like, Dad, you shaved off your beard. I mean, I was shocked. And he never grew it back. Okay. And when I was 15 years old, I got involved in the Arapahoe Youth Employment Program. And this was in between being a freshman in high school and a sophomore. And I did some, I was a custodian apprentice for Sinclair Middle School. And my boss was a really neat guy named Larry. Big guy too, but really likable and really funny. He made me laugh quite a bit too. And when he was in a bad mood, ooh, you didn't want to make him mad, because, I mean, that guy could get really tough. He's an ex-Marine. Okay, anyways. After the program ended, about a week and a half later, I got a job as a dishwasher for El Polo Asado. And I worked there from late August of 1989 until early December, and I got let go. Yeah. The general manager didn't feel I was working out. Yeah, what can you do? And in 1990, it was late April, early May, I got a job at Round the Corner Restaurant. Round the Corner Restaurant, there's none of them left. They're all gone. They all shut down. There was at least, at least 20 different locations throughout the state of Colorado. And now there's none. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Zip. And I worked there for a couple of months until I just quit. Because the manager named Mr. Lapola, he was a neat guy, but he got a little he got kind of arrogant at times too. He did. And I just quit one day. I was just like, enough. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And there was a couple of female workers that were pretty snooty. They weren't raised very well. And then I had the summer off, and then on and the other thing is during my sophomore year at Arapahoe High School, I did school way too many times. And there was a meeting with the assistant principal, a lady with IEP, and individual education program, because I had learning disabilities. I had ADD, and two people with teaching appropriate behaviors program, TAB. We all had a meeting, and I went along with after that year ended to go to get involved in alternative schooling. And I had a lot of I learned a lot of interesting things, but there was one kid who was really mean. He accused me of being a homosexual. That's not true. If he knew how many times I fantasized about women, he would know I was not like that. I mean, you should never hate homosexuals unless they got a really bad attitude. But for him to accuse me of that, that's sick. And the leader of the TAB program sat him down and had a very, very serious talk with him and some other students. And he talked to him one at a time, and he talked pretty serious to him. And he got him to straighten up and stop treating me like that. I do have to go now. A call just came in, but there will be more later.